Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Dominion's Fist. His four eyes stared at the glowing screens that showed empty space around the Kepler 442 star system. For 3,000 years, his people had ruled this galaxy. They knew every ship, every weapon, every species that existed among the stars. The Zephyrian Empire had built the greatest database in galactic history. Every time they conquered a new world, they took all the knowledge and technology they found. Their computers held information about 47 different alien species. They knew how every spaceship worked, what every weapon could do, and how fast every engine could travel. That was why the alarm bells on his bridge made no sense. "Sir," called out Communications Officer Zexani, her voice shaking slightly. "We have detected an unknown vessel moving through the outer edge of the system." Kethvar's tail switched with annoyance. "Unknown? Run it through the database again. Check all the ship patterns from the last 1,000 years. I already did that, sir. 3 times. Zexani's claws clicked nervously on her control panel. "The computer says this ship design has never been seen before. Not once in 3,000 years of records." The Admiral moved closer to the main display screen. A small dot of light moved across the star map, but something about it made his scales itch with worry. "Show me the movement data." The tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Moltek, pressed several buttons. Numbers appeared on the screen that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. "Sir, this cannot be correct," Moltek whispered. "According to our sensors, this ship is traveling at speeds that should be impossible." Kethvar looked at the numbers again. His mind tried to understand what he was seeing. The ship was moving faster than anything in their records. It was not using hyperspace travel, which left a clear energy signature. It was not using quantum tunnels, which created distortions they could easily detect. The ship was simply moving through normal space at a speed that broke every law of physics the Empire understood. "How big is this vessel?" the Admiral asked. "Approximately 800 meters long," reported the sensor operator. "Much smaller than our battle cruisers, but the hull design is completely foreign. The materials used in construction do not match anything in our databases." Kethvar felt a cold feeling in his stomach. In 3,000 years of conquest, the Empire had never encountered anything truly unknown. Every species they met used technology they could understand and eventually copy. Every ship they captured had weapons and engines that followed the same basic rules of science. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "Standard first contact protocols." Zexani worked at her station for several minutes before looking up with confusion. "Sir, I am sending signals on all known frequencies. The ship is not responding to any of them." "Are they receiving our transmissions?" "Yes, sir. Our signals are reaching their ship, but they are completely ignoring us." The Admiral watched the unknown vessel continue its path through the system. It did not slow down. It did not change course. It moved with the confidence of something that feared nothing in the galaxy. "Bring us to intercept course," Kethvar commanded. "Maximum speed." The Dominion's Fist was one of the most powerful warships ever built. Its engines could push the massive vessel to incredible speeds. But as they began pursuit, the crew realized something terrifying. Even at maximum speed, they were not getting closer to the unknown ship. "Sir," Moltek reported, his voice barely a whisper, "the unknown vessel is accelerating. It is now moving 30% faster than our top speed." Admiral Kethvar had commanded fleets that conquered entire star systems. He had faced enemy ships that fought with desperate courage. He had seen weapons that could destroy planets. But he had never felt the fear that now crept through his mind. "Send an emergency message to Fleet Command," he ordered. "Tell them we have encountered something that does not exist in our records. Request immediate reinforcements." As the message was sent across space to the Empire's central command, the bridge crew continued to watch the impossible ship. It moved through their territory like it owned the galaxy. It ignored their most powerful warship like it was nothing more than a small insect. "Sir," Zexani called out suddenly, "I am detecting more energy signatures." "More ships?" "No, sir. The unknown vessel itself is generating energy patterns I have never seen before. The power output is increasing rapidly." On the main screen, the small dot that represented the mystery ship began to glow brighter. Energy readings climbed higher and higher, reaching levels that should have torn any normal ship apart. "Is it preparing to attack?" asked Moltek. "I do not think so," Zexani replied, studying her instruments carefully. "The energy is not being directed at weapon systems. It appears to be some kind of engine modification." They all watched as the impossible ship suddenly moved even faster. In a few seconds, it had doubled its already incredible speed. The laws of physics seemed to mean nothing to whoever had built this vessel. "Admiral," the communications officer said quietly, "I am receiving reports from other ships in the system. 3 patrol vessels and a mining station have all detected the same unknown contact. Every ship in the system is trying to intercept, but none of us are fast enough." Kethvar realized that word of this encounter would spread quickly through the Empire. For the first time in 3,000 years, they had found something they could not understand, could not catch, and could not control. The greatest military force in galactic history was being completely ignored by a single unknown ship. "Keep following," he ordered, though he knew it was hopeless. "And keep sending reports to Fleet Command. They need to know that something new has entered our galaxy." As the bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, the Admiral stared at the screen and wondered what else might be out there in the darkness of space. If one impossible ship could appear from nowhere, what else might be watching them from the shadows? The unknown vessel continued on its path, moving deeper into Empire territory with the casual confidence of something that had no fear of the greatest military power in the galaxy. And for the first time in his long career, Admiral Kethvar began to wonder if the Zephyrian Empire was truly as powerful as they had always believed. The age of absolute imperial dominance was about to come to an end, though none of them knew it yet. Fleet Admiral Vorthak received the emergency message while he was reviewing battle plans in his private chamber aboard the massive command ship. Eternal glory, the report from Admiral Kethvar made him read the same words 3 times before he could believe what he was seeing. An unknown ship, moving at impossible speeds, ignoring all imperial vessels. In his 40 years of military service, Vorthak had overseen the conquest of 12 star systems. He had commanded fleets that numbered in the thousands. No enemy had ever escaped imperial justice, and no technology had ever remained beyond imperial understanding for long. "Mobilize the 7th Battle Group," he ordered his aide. "Full combat deployment. Whatever this unknown vessel represents, we will capture it and learn its secrets." Within 2 hours, 12 heavy cruisers and their escort squadrons were moving toward the Kepler 442 system. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a continent. Their crews were the finest warriors in the Empire, trained to board and capture any vessel they encountered. Captain Dexiol commanded the lead interceptor squadron. His ships were fast, deadly, and equipped with the latest boarding technology. As they approached the unknown contact, he felt the familiar excitement of a new hunt. "All ships, maintain formation," he broadcast to his squadron. "Standard capture protocol. Disable their engines, then begin boarding procedures." The unknown vessel appeared on their screens as they closed the distance. Captain Dexiol had seen thousands of different ship designs during his career, but this one made him pause. The hull was sleek and angular, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. The metal was a strange dark color that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Sensor sweep complete," reported his weapons officer. "The ship measures approximately 800 meters in length. I'm detecting unknown energy signatures throughout the vessel. The power generation methods do not match any known technology. Strange symbols were marked along the hull of the mysterious ship. The computer systems that had decoded the languages of 47 different species could not translate the markings. They appeared to be some form of writing, but unlike any alphabet or symbol system in the Imperial databases. "Open communication channels," Captain Dexiol ordered. "All frequencies." The communications officer worked at his station for several minutes before shaking his head. "The ship is not responding to our signals, sir, but I am detecting that they are actively scanning us." "Scanning us? With what?" "Unknown energy patterns, sir. They appear to be studying our weapons, our engines, and our hull composition." Captain Dexiol felt a moment of unease. In his experience, only military vessels performed detailed scans of potential enemies. This unknown ship was examining them like they were the ones being hunted. "Unknown vessel," he broadcast on all frequencies. "You have entered Imperial space without authorization. By order of the Zephyrian Empire, you will immediately halt your vessel and prepare for boarding. Compliance is not optional." For a long moment, nothing happened. The strange ship continued moving through space at its impossible speed. Then, without any visible sign of engine burn or deceleration, the vessel simply stopped. The sudden halt made every Imperial officer freeze with shock. No ship could stop that quickly without tearing itself apart. The forces involved should have crushed any crew inside like insects. Yet their sensors showed the unknown vessel sitting perfectly still in space, as if it had never been moving at all. "How did they do that?" whispered the tactical officer. Captain Dexiol had no answer. The physics involved in such a maneuver were beyond anything the Empire had ever encountered. It was like watching someone stop a river with their bare hands. Then the unknown ship opened a communication channel. The image that appeared on their screen showed the interior of what was clearly the vessel's bridge. But instead of any of the 47 known alien species, they saw something completely new. The creature was bipedal, like many intelligent species, but smaller than most. It had pale skin, small eyes, and no visible natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armored scales. It looked fragile, almost delicate. The being wore some kind of uniform, but the material and design were unlike anything in Imperial records. When the creature spoke, the words came out in a completely unknown language. The universal translator systems that had successfully decoded communications from dozens of different species simply stopped working. The linguistic analysis programs that could break down any language in minutes showed nothing but error messages. But somehow, after a few seconds, the translator began to work. The words became clear, spoken in a calm, steady voice that showed no fear or concern. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Indomitable. You have 15 minutes to clear this shipping lane before we resume course." The Imperial bridge fell completely silent. Captain Dexiol stared at the image of this small, apparently defenseless creature who had just given orders to the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "Did that thing just tell us to move?" asked his weapons officer. Captain Dexiol activated his communication system. "I am Captain Dexiol of the Imperial Navy. You will surrender your vessel immediately and prepare for boarding. Your ship will be confiscated and your crew will be processed according to Imperial law." The human called Captain Chen looked directly at the camera. Her expression did not change. She showed no sign of fear or surprise. When she spoke again, her voice was even calmer than before. "Captain," I tried to be polite. "You have 14 minutes to clear the shipping lane." "Shipping lane?" Captain Dexiol could not believe what he was hearing. "This is Imperial space. We do not recognize any shipping lanes except those authorized by the Empire." Captain Chen touched something on her chair's armrest. "Engineering, please note that local traffic control appears to be unaware of standard galactic shipping regulations. Prepare to file the appropriate reports with the Commerce Authority." A voice answered from somewhere off-screen, speaking in the same unknown language. Captain Chen nodded and looked back at the Imperial officers. "Gentlemen, I suggest you contact your superiors and inform them that this shipping lane is protected under Section 12 of the Galactic Commerce Treaty. Interference with registered cargo vessels is considered an act of piracy." Captain Dexiol felt like he was living in a nightmare. This tiny creature was talking about treaties and commerce authorities that did not exist. She was discussing laws that the Empire had never heard of, and she was doing it all with the confidence of someone who expected to be obeyed. "There is no Galactic Commerce Treaty," he said slowly. "The Zephyrian Empire is the only law in this galaxy." For the first time, Captain Chen's expression changed slightly. A small smile appeared on her face, but it was not a happy expression. It was the kind of smile that made every Imperial officer on the bridge feel suddenly cold. "Oh," she said quietly, "you're one of those civilizations." Fleet Admiral Vorthak watched the communication feed from Captain Dexiol's squadron with growing amusement. The unknown alien was small, weak-looking, and apparently delusional. It spoke of laws and treaties that did not exist, and seemed to believe it had authority in Imperial space. "A lost colony ship," he announced to his staff officers. "Probably been drifting in space for so long that its crew has forgotten how the galaxy really works." His tactical officer, a seasoned veteran named Grixmar, nodded in agreement. "The creature shows no natural weapons, sir. No claws, no combat modifications, no sign of military enhancement. It appears to be one of the weaker species." Admiral Vorthak had seen many weak species during his long career. Some tried to negotiate. Others begged for mercy. A few attempted to run. All of them eventually served the Empire in whatever capacity their limited abilities allowed. "Captain Dexiol," he broadcast to the interceptor squadron, "you are authorized to use force." Disable their engines and prepare for immediate boarding. I want that ship and its technology intact. On the main display screen, they watched as Captain Dexiol's ships moved into attack formation. The Imperial vessels were works of art, designed to inspire fear in anyone who saw them. Their hulls gleamed with polished metal, and their weapon arrays could be seen clearly from a great distance. The human ship, by comparison, looked almost peaceful. It had no visible weapons, no obvious defensive systems, and no signs of military purpose. It appeared to be exactly what its captain had claimed, a cargo vessel. "This will be over quickly," Admiral Vorthak said to his staff. "Another species will learn to respect Imperial authority." Captain Dexiol opened fire with his squadron's disabling weapons. The energy beams were designed to shut down enemy engines without destroying the ship. They had been used successfully against hundreds of different vessel types over the centuries. The beams struck the human ship and simply disappeared. For a moment, nobody on any Imperial bridge understood what they had just seen. The weapons had connected with their target, but there had been no explosion, no energy feedback, no sign of any effect at all. "Direct hit confirmed," reported Captain Dexiol's weapons officer, his voice confused. "But sensors show no damage to the target vessel." Admiral Vorthak felt his first moment of real concern. "Fire again. Full power." The squadron fired a second volley, this time with enough energy to disable a ship 3 times larger than the human vessel. Again, the beam struck their target and vanished without any visible effect. On the communication screen, Captain Chen had been watching the attack with the same calm expression she had shown throughout the encounter. Now she touched her chair's armrest again. "Engineering, the locals appear to be testing our defensive systems with low-level energy weapons. Please note this in the contact report." She looked directly at the camera. "Captain Dexiol, I appreciate that you are following your orders, but you are beginning to damage my ship's paint." "Please stop." Admiral Vorthak stared at the screen. The human was claiming that weapons powerful enough to cripple a battlecruiser were only scratching her ship's paint. Either she was lying, or the Imperial fleet was facing technology beyond their understanding. "Use the reality shears," he ordered. "Maximum power." Captain Dexiol hesitated. The reality shearing weapons were the Empire's most devastating technology. They could tear holes in space itself, destroying any target at the molecular level. They had never been used against a single small ship before, because nothing smaller than a battle fortress could survive even a minimal blast. "Sir, are you certain? Those weapons could destroy an entire moon." "Use them," Admiral Vorthak commanded. "I want to see what this human ship is really made of." The reality shears charged up with a sound like thunder. Energy readings climbed to levels that made nearby space itself begin to glow. When the weapons fired, they created a beam of destruction that could unmake matter itself. The beam struck the human ship and simply stopped, not absorbed, not deflected. The reality-shearing energy that could destroy planets just stopped existing when it touched the human vessel's hull. Captain Chen's expression finally changed. She looked slightly annoyed. "That was rude," she said calmly. "Engineering, it appears we are dealing with a genuinely hostile civilization. Please implement defensive protocols and contact Terra Command." Admiral Vorthak watched in growing horror as the human ship began to change. Hull panels that had appeared to be solid metal slid apart to reveal weapon arrays that made his blood run cold. Energy signatures began climbing to levels that his sensors could not properly measure. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, "the power output from that vessel is now 10 times greater than our entire fleet." But the most terrifying thing was the message that Captain Chen was now broadcasting. Not to the Imperial ships, but to something else entirely. "Terra Command, this is Captain Chen aboard the Indomitable. Our routine cargo delivery to Colony 7 has been interrupted by a local military force that has opened fire with reality disruption weapons. Requesting permission to respond according to First Contact Protocol 7. The response came almost immediately, and it was broadcast so that every Imperial ship could hear it. "Indomitable, this is Terra Command. You are authorized to defend yourself and your cargo. Try not to break too many of their toys. The Xenoarchaeology Department is very excited about studying another pre-FTL civilization." Admiral Vorthak felt like the galaxy had just turned upside down. Pre-FTL? The Empire had mastered faster-than-light travel 3,000 years ago. They had conquered dozens of star systems. They were the most advanced civilization in known space. Terra Command, Captain Chen continued. Please note that the locals appear to have some form of space-time manipulation technology. Their reality shears are quite primitive but functional. Understood, Indomitable. We will upgrade the contact classification to Level 4. Fleet Formation Delta is en route to provide support. Admiral Vorthak was about to ask what Fleet Formation Delta was when his sensors began detecting new contacts. Not one or two ships, but dozens of them. They were appearing in space around his fleet, not emerging from hyperspace or quantum tunnels, but simply materializing as if they had always been there. Each new contact was broadcasting the same message. Terra Command. This is Fleet Formation Delta. Package delivery mission has been interrupted. Requesting permission to educate the locals about proper shipping lane etiquette. The Admiral looked at his tactical display and realized that his 12 heavy cruisers were now surrounded by more than 50 human vessels. Each one was larger than the Indomitable, and the energy readings from their weapons made his reality shears look like children's toys. Captain Chen appeared on the communication screen again. This time her smile was neither small nor cold. It was the expression of someone who was about to teach a very important lesson. Admiral Vorthak, she said, somehow knowing his name and rank. I believe we need to have a more serious conversation. Admiral Vorthak stared at the tactical display as more human ships continued to appear around his fleet. The impossible vessels materialized out of empty space like ghosts becoming solid. Each new contact made his tactical officers more nervous, and the energy readings from the human fleet were climbing beyond anything his instruments could properly measure. How many ships do they have? He asked his sensor operator. I count 73 vessels now, sir. And more are still appearing. Captain Chen's image remained on the main communication screen. She looked completely relaxed, as if being surrounded. By the Empire's most powerful battle fleet was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Admiral, she said in that same calm voice. Before we continue, I think there are some things you should understand about the situation you have created. Admiral Vorthak tried to maintain his authority. You are surrounded by Imperial warships. Your vessels may have impressive defensive systems, but you are still outnumbered. Captain Chen's expression showed what might have been pity. Admiral, you misunderstand what you are looking at. The Indomitable is not a warship. It is a cargo, freighter on a routine supply mission to establish a new agricultural colony. The Admiral felt a cold sensation in his stomach. A cargo ship? Yes. I am currently carrying farming equipment, seed stocks, and prefabricated buildings. This is what humans call a milk run, a simple, safe mission that we give to new crews for training purposes. The tactical officer whispered urgently in Admiral Vorthak's ear. Sir, if that is their cargo vessel, what are their actual warships like? Captain Chen seemed to hear the question somehow. The ships you see around you are not warships either, Admiral. They are colony security forces, essentially guards for civilian shipping lanes. Their primary mission is to escort merchant vessels and provide assistance in case of equipment failure. Admiral Vorthak looked at his display again. Each of the human ships was significantly larger than his heavy cruisers, and the energy signatures suggested weapon systems that made Imperial technology look primitive. If these were just cargo escorts, what was humanity's actual military like? I do not believe you, he said, but his voice sounded weak even to his own ears. Captain Chen touched her chair controls. Computer, please display our current mission parameters for the Imperial forces. A new window appeared on every Imperial screen, showing what appeared to be a shipping manifest. The document was filled with items like atmospheric processors, hydroponic farming modules, and residential construction units. At the bottom of the list was a note that read, Delivery schedule, standard civilian priority. No military escort required. As you can see, Captain Chen explained, this is a routine commercial operation. We are establishing Colony 7 in an uninhabited system approximately 40 light-years from here. The colonists are mostly farmers and engineers who want to start a new settlement. Admiral Vorthak studied the manifest, but what caught his attention was a small line at the top of the document. What does Mission Classification Civilian Level 1 mean? It means this is considered the safest possible type of operation in human space. Level 1 missions are usually assigned to crews who have just finished their basic training. Captain Chen paused for a moment. Admiral, how long has your species had faster-than-light travel? 3,000 years, Admiral Vorthak replied automatically. Interesting. Humanity has had FTL capability for approximately 1,200 years. During that time, we have discovered that the galaxy is a much more dangerous place than most young civilizations realize. The Admiral felt like he was missing something important. Dangerous? The Empire has encountered 47 different species. We have never found anything we could not handle. Captain Chen's expression became more serious. Admiral, in our exploration of this galaxy, humanity has encountered 3 different types of civilizations. First, there are the peaceful species who focus on science, art, and commerce. Second, there are the aggressive civilizations like yours, who build empires through conquest. And third, there are the threats. What kind of threats? The kind that make aggressive civilizations like yours look like children playing with toy weapons. Captain Chen's voice became quieter. Admiral, humanity spent almost 1,000 years fighting a war against entities that exist partially outside normal space-time. We call them the Devourers, though that is not their real name. They consume entire star systems for energy, and they can manipulate reality in ways that make your space-time weapons look primitive. Admiral Vorthak felt the galaxy shift around him. You fought beings that could destroy star systems? We did more than fight them, Admiral. We won. Captain Chen stood up from her chair. The technologies you see on our ships were developed during that war. Our defensive systems can protect against reality manipulation because we learned to fight enemies who could rewrite the laws of physics. Our weapons can target vessels through folded space because we faced opponents who could hide in dimensions that do not normally exist. The communication screen showed Captain Chen walking to what appeared to be an observation window. Behind her, the bridge of the Indomitable bustled with quiet activity. The human crew worked with the efficient calm of people who had seen real danger and knew how to handle it. The reason humanity has been watching your empire for decades, Captain Chen continued, is that aggressive civilizations like yours tend to attract the attention of threats like the Devourers. When a species becomes too violent, too expansionist, it creates disturbances in space-time that can wake up things that should stay sleeping. Admiral Vorthak realized that his entire understanding of the galaxy had been wrong. You have been watching us? Of course. We monitor all developing civilizations to assess their threat level. Most species eventually outgrow their aggressive phase and become peaceful contributors to galactic civilization. Some unfortunately attract dangerous attention before they mature. The Admiral looked at his tactical display. The human ships continued to maintain their positions around his fleet, but they had not fired a single shot. Despite having overwhelming superiority, they seemed more interested in talking than fighting. What do you want from us? He asked. Captain Chen returned to her chair. Admiral, I want to deliver my cargo to Colony 7 and return home in time for my daughter's birthday party. But first, I need to explain some facts about galactic politics that your empire seems to have missed. A new image appeared on the communication screen, a star map showing hundreds of systems. Many were marked with symbols that Admiral Vorthak did not recognize. This is the actual political map of this galaxy, Captain Chen explained. The green systems are members of the Galactic Commerce Alliance, a federation of peaceful species who work together for mutual benefit. The blue systems are independent colonies and smaller civilizations. The red systems are controlled by aggressive empires like yours. Admiral Vorthak stared at the map. The area marked as Zephyrian Empire territory was much smaller than he had been told. Worse, it was surrounded by hundreds of other civilizations that he had never heard of. This is impossible, he whispered. Our scouts have explored the entire galaxy. We would have detected these other civilizations. Captain Chen's smile returned, but it was patient rather than threatening. Admiral, your scouts have been exploring exactly where we wanted them to explore. Humanity has been carefully managing first contact situations for centuries. We allow aggressive species to think they are more powerful than they actually are, while we work to guide them toward more peaceful behavior. The tactical officer leaned close to Admiral Vorthak's ear. Sir, if this is true, then everything we believe about our military strength is wrong. Captain Chen seemed to hear this as well. I am afraid so. The Zephyrian Empire currently ranks as a Class 3 civilization on the galactic development scale. You have basic space travel, primitive energy weapons, and simple computer systems. Most of the galaxy considers you to be in your aggressive adolescent phase. Admiral Vorthak felt like his world was collapsing. Class 3? What class is humanity? Humanity is currently classified as Class 12, though there is some debate about upgrading us to Class 13 after our recent innovations in dimensional engineering. The Admiral did not want to ask, but he had to know. What is the highest classification? Captain Chen's expression became very serious. We are not certain. The species that originally created the classification system disappeared approximately 50,000 years ago. They left behind some impressive ruins and a warning about something they called the final challenge, but no one has figured out what that means yet. Admiral Vorthak stared at the human captain and realized that everything he thought he knew about the galaxy had been an illusion. The Empire was not the greatest power among the stars. They were children playing with dangerous toys, being carefully watched by adults who were trying to keep them from hurting themselves. What happens now? He asked quietly. Captain Chen stood up again. Now, Admiral, you get to make a choice. You can continue trying to build an empire through conquest, in which case humanity will be forced to intervene more directly. Or you can begin the process of becoming a peaceful, productive member of galactic civilization. She paused and looked directly at him through the screen. I should mention that 3 days later, Emperor Zarthul sat in his throne room on the capital world of Zephyria Prime, staring at reports that made no sense. His greatest battle fleets had been systematically disabled across 12 star systems. Not destroyed, disabled. Every ship was intact, every crew member was alive. But not a single Imperial vessel was capable of moving or firing weapons. The humans had done it with surgical precision that was almost insulting. They had simply shut down the Empire's military like someone turning off lights in an empty building. Your Majesty, announced the court herald, the human representative has arrived. Emperor Zarthul had ruled for 60 years. He had conquered 18 star systems personally, and his armies had never known defeat. The idea of receiving an ambassador from a species that had defeated him so completely made his scales itch with humiliation. But he had no choice. The throne room doors opened, and Admiral Sarah Chen walked in, now wearing what appeared to be a formal diplomatic uniform. She was accompanied by 2 other humans who carried briefcases and tablet computers. They moved with the calm confidence of people who owned the galaxy. Your Majesty, Admiral Chen said with a polite bow, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Emperor Zarthul noticed that she did not kneel, as was required by Imperial protocol. She showed respect but not submission. It was exactly the kind of behavior he would expect from someone who could destroy his empire with a few cargo escorts. Admiral Chen, he replied, trying to maintain some dignity. I understand you have some proposals to discuss. Yes, Your Majesty. But first I should explain what has happened to your military forces. Admiral Chen gestured to one of her companions, who activated a holographic display in the center of the throne room. The display showed a star map of the entire empire. Every Imperial fleet was marked with red dots,
and every red dot was surrounded by blue indicators representing human ships. As you can see,
Admiral Chen continued, we have temporarily disabled your military capabilities. This was done to prevent any unfortunate incidents while we conduct these negotiations. Emperor Zarthul studied the display. The humans had positioned ships throughout his territory with the same casual efficiency they might use to arrange furniture in a room. How long did this operation take? Approximately 14 hours, Your Majesty. Most of that time was spent traveling between star systems. 14 hours. The Empire's military had been completely neutralized in less than a single day. Emperor Zarthul had seen reports of the human ships moving through Imperial space, but he had not understood the scope of the operation until now. What do you want from us? He asked. Admiral Chen's expression remained professional. Your Majesty, humanity does not want to conquer your empire. We have no interest in ruling your worlds or controlling your people. What we want is for the Zephyrian Empire to stop expanding through conquest and begin the process of becoming a peaceful member of galactic civilization. And if we refuse, then humanity will be forced to take more direct action. Admiral Chen's voice remained calm, but there was something in her tone that made Emperor Zarthul's blood run cold. Your Majesty, I should explain that this entire operation has been conducted by what we call colonial security forces. These are essentially police units whose job is to protect civilian shipping and maintain order in frontier regions. The Emperor felt his world shift again. Police units? Yes, Your Majesty. Humanity's actual military forces are currently deployed along the Galactic Rim, watching for signs of devourer activity. If we were forced to bring in military assets to deal with the Empire, the results would be significantly more severe. Emperor Zarthul realized that he had not yet seen anything close to humanity's real power. What had defeated his entire empire was the equivalent of a local police force. What exactly are you proposing? He asked quietly. Admiral Chen nodded to her second companion, who activated another holographic display. This one showed a complex document with hundreds of sections and subsections. The Galactic Civilization Accords, Admiral Chen explained. This is the basic framework that governs how advanced species interact with each other. Signing this document would make the Zephyrian Empire a junior member of the galactic community. Emperor Zarthul read through the visible sections of the document. Most of it dealt with concepts he had never considered. Individual rights, representative government, peaceful trade agreements, and environmental protection standards. This would require us to completely restructure our society, he observed. Yes, Your Majesty, but not immediately. The transition process typically takes between 50 and 100 years, depending on how quickly a species adapts. Humanity and other advanced civilizations will provide technical assistance, educational resources, and economic support during the conversion period. And the 47 species we have conquered? Admiral Chen's expression became slightly harder. They will be given the choice to remain part of your federation or establish their own independent governments. Any species that chooses independence will receive full support from the galactic community. Emperor Zarthul understood that this was not really a negotiation. The humans were telling him what was going to happen, and his only choice was whether to cooperate or resist. What happens to the imperial government? He asked. That depends on how you handle the transition, Your Majesty. Some species choose to maintain their traditional leadership while gradually implementing democratic reforms. Others prefer to establish completely new governmental systems. Humanity will support whatever approach your people prefer, as long as it includes basic protections for individual rights and peaceful coexistence with neighboring civilizations. The Emperor looked around his throne room at the symbols of imperial power that now seemed meaningless. His armies were disabled. His fleets were under human control. His empire existed only because the humans allowed it to continue. How long do I have to make this decision? He asked. Admiral Chen checked her wrist device. Your Majesty, I need to return to my ship within the next 2 hours. My cargo delivery is already behind schedule, and my daughter's birthday party is tomorrow evening. Emperor Zarthul stared at the human admiral. She had just dismantled a 3,000-year-old empire in 3 days, and her primary concern was making it home in time for a child's birthday party. If I agree to these terms, he said slowly, what guarantees do I have that humanity will honor its promises? Your Majesty, I think you misunderstand the situation. Humanity does not need to make promises to you. We could reorganize your entire civilization in a matter of weeks if we chose to do so. The fact that we are offering you a choice in how this transition occurs is not because we need your cooperation. It is because we believe that civilizations grow best when they are allowed to develop at their own pace. Admiral Chen walked closer to the throne. Your Majesty, in the past 3,000 years, your empire has conquered 47 different species. You have turned entire planets into slave worlds. You have suppressed scientific advancement and cultural development across dozens of star systems. She paused and looked directly at him. Humanity could have intervened at any time during the past century. We could have stopped your expansion, freed your slave worlds, and forced democratic reforms on your government. But we chose to wait and see if your species would mature naturally. Why? Because we have learned that civilizations forced to change too quickly often collapse completely. We prefer to guide development rather than impose it. Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. Your Majesty, the Zephyrian people are not evil. They are simply following the leadership they have been given. With proper guidance and education, They can become valuable contributors to galactic civilization. Emperor Zarthul realized that the humans were offering him a chance to lead his people into a new age, rather than simply being conquered and replaced. It was more mercy than he had ever shown to the species he had defeated. "I accept your terms," he said quietly. Admiral Chen smiled for the first time since entering the throne room. "Excellent, Your Majesty. My staff will work with your advisors to begin the transition process. The first step will be establishing communication channels with the 47 species in your territory and offering them the choice of independence or Federation membership." She turned to leave, then paused at the throne room doors. "Your Majesty, I should mention that the galactic community is always looking for civilizations with strong organizational skills. The Zephyrian Empire's administrative systems, once modified to respect individual rights, could be very valuable in managing large-scale colonization projects." Emperor Zarthul watched the human admiral walk out of his throne room, taking his empire's independence with her, but somehow he felt like his people might be gaining something much more valuable in return. As the throne room doors closed, he realized that for the first time in his life, he was looking forward to the future rather than dwelling on past conquests. The age of the Zephyrian Empire was ending. The age of Zephyrian participation in galactic civilization was about to begin. And somewhere in human space, Captain Sarah Chen was finally heading home to her daughter's birthday party,